friends, welcome to the All-Canadian Reptile Girl. Today I'm taking you on a trip around the world to explore the fascinating world of reptiles in mythology and folklore and share with you some of my favorite stories. Wait till you hear some of these. So let's take a second and first talk about folklore and mythology. If you're a little fuzzy on the difference, like I was when I first started researching this, here it is. Mythology looks at things on a broader scale. It is more about stories from a particular region, about the creation of the world and how it all works. Like, think of Zeus or Odin building the world and fathering the gods, that kind of thing. Folklore tends to be smaller scale stories about specific things unique to a particular group of people, and those stories or beliefs may not even be shared by the next group of people down the road. There are literally thousands of stories about reptiles, so I figured I'd share one of my favorites from what I've seen from each continent with you. Some of these names, places, or phrases in these stories are in languages that I do not speak, so please forgive any mispronunciations I may and probably will make. I'm sorry. Through our modern lens, some of these stories may seem a little bit silly, but to the people long ago, or even those today who still hold to them, these stories helped shape their understandings of what was going on around them and our modern culture, and what we know of our world today all grew from these lessons in these stories. I'm going to present these in an informative and, I hope, amusing way, with some commentary, maybe a lighthearted joke or two. Please understand that I intend no disrespect whatsoever. At all. Lastly, it is not uncommon for there to be slightly different versions of a particular piece of folklore, so if I share something here that is close but not quite what you may have heard, that's probably why, and maybe you can give your version down in the comments below. I would love to hear the other ones that are out there. Let's start our journey in South America, where there is a legend of a giant Amazonian serpent called the Yacumama, which means water mother. It all begins hundreds of years ago, with a fisherman from a tribe close to what would now be the modern city of Pucallpa, off the Ucayali River. This tributary led him to a quiet, still lake the fisherman was sure would be brimming with fish to feed to the whole village. I've seen a lot of monster movies, and gotta say, I feel like this is how a whole bunch of them started. Anyway, as our fisherman rowed to the far shore, something stirred in the water.
Do not disturb.
Solid advice, Mom's imaginary boyfriend.
Not just Mom's.
Okay. A huge serpent head, as big as the fisherman himself, rose out of the water and swayed over him. Our fisherman leapt out of the boat and ran into the jungle with the massive serpent chasing him. But he knew nothing short of a miracle would save him. Okay, folks, things are about to get weird, and I'm going to ask you to just take all your disbeliefs about what I'm gonna say and toss them aside. Did you do that? Are they tossed over there on the other couch? Are they gone out the window? Good. Okay. Now, just as our fisherman was ready to meet his maker, so to speak, four tapirs fell from the sky.
They fall right out of the sky,
distracting the giant serpent long enough for our fisherman to make his escape back to his village and share his incredible tale. The Yacumama, having been disturbed from her lake of origin, was now free to roam, and this 100 to 160 foot serpent has since been sighted elsewhere in the rivers and inlets all along the Peruvian Amazon, and reportedly shoots a string of water powerful enough for her to stun her prey, long enough for her to gobble up the prey. With how big she is, I don't think she needs to stun it, but it's still impressive, isn't she? Sightings and even human disappearances have been attributed to the water mother to this day. I think it's actually pretty neat to think of a 100+ foot long monster aquatic snake out there with a very sweet name like Water Mother. We are going to stroll north a bit to North America. Here, within Cherokee lore, I found some interesting legends of a horned serpent called Uktena. In one, the sun was angry and wanted to destroy all the people on Earth for reasons? And so it sent a sickness down to Earth. The people wanted to fight back, so they changed a man into a serpent and named him Uktena, the keen-eyed. He was as thick around as a tree trunk. What size tree trunk? We don't know. Had horns on his head and a diamond crest on his forehead. His scales glowed like fire red sparks. An impressive and fearsome creature, to be sure. Uktena went to fight the sun, but failed, so his people sent up a rattlesnake to fight the sun. He must have space Ubered. The rattlesnake won the fight, which angered Uktena, and made him jealous. So much so, the people were afraid to be around him and they sent him up into the mountains to live with the other dangerous things. I couldn't find anything that clarified what those other dangerous things are. Maybe cougars and bears, or maybe other legendary monsters. And what about the man who was transformed into Uktena? Was he chosen? Did he volunteer? Was there a vote? I don't know. Myths and legends are pretty neat, right? Not quite as neat as these folks here, though. These are my patrons on Patreon. And by supporting my channel, these fine human beings, I assume they are all human beings, not horned, red, glowy snake monsters, help me create fun videos for you, help me feed my pets like Dasara here, and make them some really cool homes. Homes for my reptiles? By them, I mean my reptiles, not my patrons. Not only do they help me do all of that, but they also get some additional perks. I think that those perks are pretty neat. Behind the scenes stuff, bloopers, updates on new animals or projects that I'm working on, and more. Check out patreon.com/allcanadianreptilegirl to see how you can support my channel. If Patreon is not your thing, that's cool. I understand. You can still help me out a whole bunch by hitting that like button. If you do like the video, that is. I don't want you doing anything dishonest. That little click costs you nothing, but is actually a huge help to my video and makes it spread to other people who might like it. Thank you. Let's take a swim across the Atlantic to Europe. I've mentioned this beautiful reptile in a few recent videos. It is an actual real animal folks see pretty much every day. The European adder. I think this snake is absolutely stunning. And I also think that the lore surrounding this snake is absolutely, you can decide. Here goes. Should you find yourself hiking across Europe and happen across an adder, do not fear its bite, because there is a long list of cures to ensure you don't die. First, getting bitten is not your fault, because the adder will sway and its unblinking eyes will hypnotize you. So you won't run away and it can bite you. Do not despair. I've got you covered. First, you can catch the snake. And then you have options and can choose the cure you are most comfortable with. The one that is the least amount of work is to just hold the dead snake against the bite. Johanna, play dead. But if you have your doubts about that one, you can always slice it open, heat up the fat from inside the snake, and apply this to the bite. But what to do if the snake escapes your attempt to capture it, or you don't have matches to make a fire, which you really should because you're out hiking and it's Outdoor Safety 101. Come on. Not to worry, you can always take a freshly killed chicken or sheep and you can hold the freshly dead sheep or chicken against the wound and wait for it to turn black. That will for sure save you.
Wait for the wound to turn black or for the chicken sheep to turn black?
Yes? No.
Okay.
Perhaps you just cannot bring yourself to kill another animal to save yourself. There's an option for that too. Hold a live pigeon against the wound. Or, if you cannot bring yourself to involve any other animals in your snake bite situation, which was not your fault, in that case, please proceed to a stream within eyesight of where you were bitten. Now, take a deep breath and leap. Yep, just leap. Just jump on over it. The venom has been neutralized. You are bound to survive the bite now. Neat, eh? The actual reason these so-called cures were so widespread is because the adder's bite, although venomous, was not likely to kill. We now know that their venom is actually pretty potent, but their yield is very low. They just don't have that much of it. A bite will still ruin your day, but they aren't generally considered that dangerous. So, of course, whatever random or wacky cure they tried back in the day was pretty likely to work. Jump across a stream, though? Really? We are now going to pop down to Africa, where there are a lot of really cool stories about reptiles and myths, folklore, and legends. But there is really only one that I could choose to share with you today, and that is the Kongamato, just so I can do this. Khan's Kongamato is a manga flying dino. I don't want to die, but when I do, he'll be the guy. Whoa!
You happy now?
Yeah. Okay. Extremely. There. Now that that is out of my system, we can be serious. The Kongamato, which translates to Overwhelmer of Boats, first received mainstream attention when explorer Frank Welland wrote about them in 1932 in his book In Witchbound Africa. There are multiple accounts from Zambia all the way northwest to the Congo of a large reddish flying creature with a pointed tooth-filled beak. Its body the size of a man's, with membranous or leathery wings like a bat, and a wingspan usually ranging between 4 to 10 feet across, although some reports are as big as 100 feet. I think that's just a bit excessive. Drawings from witnesses of the creature consistently depicted a pterodactyl-like monster, which has led some to believe there were, or are, still pterodactyls alive and thriving in Africa. Kongamato hunted near water and reportedly ate fish, but were also known to eat humans. In Zambia, the Kayande people would carry charms called Muki wa Kongamato, or Muchi wa Kongamato. The words will be up on the screen. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. These charms were meant to protect them while they crossed the river from Kongamato attacks. If both fish and unprotected humans were scarce, our winged buddy would dig up corpses and eat them instead. And of course, this flying reptile was also used to scare children into behaving, because what good is a monster if you cannot use it to coerce your kids into going to bed on time, right? Let's head over to the Far East so that I can share with you my favorite reptile folklore from Asia. This one involves soft-shell turtles and the Suppon No Yurei. Suppon is the Japanese word for the Chinese soft-shell turtle. Yurei is the Japanese word for ghost. Any guesses as to where I might be going with this one? Turtle ghost, turtle ghost, turtle ghost, turtle ghost, turtle ghost. Yeah, turtle ghost. Yeah, it's a turtle ghost. Suppon has been enjoyed as a delicacy for thousands of years. It is believed to have restorative powers. It's being used in traditional Chinese medicine and has even been added as an energizing ingredient in modern energy drinks. So, where's the folklore? No, don't walk off the table. Well, Suppon No Yurei are the vengeful ghosts of soft-shell turtles, and they appear to exact revenge on those who ate them. But not upon all who ate them. Just those who are either gluttonous with the amount of suppon they consume, or those who are not respectful of the natural balance of nature and overtake. I like a ghost with a love of wildlife conservation and a sense of justice, you know? The legend is that there was a man whose livelihood was catching and selling suppon. As the numbers of dead suppon continued to rise at this man's doing, the spirits of the suppon decided enough was enough, and then haunted this man for many nights. And if you are thinking to yourself, well, what's a floating soft-shell turtle ghost going to do to me? That's just a funny sentence, I'm sorry. Let me explain what happens, because there are many different ways this vengeful and tenacious ghost will get you. First, this is not just a floating turtle ghost that appears in your bedroom. This is a gigantic 30-foot-high figure with a long, legless body and pointed lips that will terrorize you night after night, or it might choose to bite you and not let go. Or it will possess you and force you to take on the characteristics of a soft-shell turtle. As for the fellow in our legend, his Suppon No Yurei continued haunting him night after night, and even caused the man's child to be born deformed, to the point where the child's deformities resembled those of a soft-shell turtle. His fingers and toes were webbed, and because his mouth was elongated and small and his lips were pointed, the child couldn't eat regular food, so the man had to feed him worms. So Yeah, don't mess with turtles, hey? Heading south to Australia and Oceania, I found an interesting mythological being known as the Moha-Moha. This 30-foot-long creature had a dome-shaped back like a turtle and an elongated neck, grayish with white spots, and a long scaly tail complete with fins. The interesting thing to note here is that the scales on the tail were perpendicular to the axis of the body, making it spiky looking. I have to say, from a distance, she looks almost like Nessie, doesn't she? She was first seen, described, and drawn by schoolteacher Miss S. Lavelle in 1890 off the coast of Queensland. Over the next several days, there were 6 other sightings of the creature, and when described to Aboriginal tribes in the area, they confirmed that the creature was indeed the Moha-Moha and that they hunted it for meat. However, they said it was a dangerous amphibious being capable of coming onto land on its hind legs and attacking and killing villagers, even though Miss Lavelle did describe the creature as being peaceful. Miss Lavelle's description of the Moha-Moha was printed in a local newspaper in 1891, and in 1893 it was given the scientific name Chelicauria lavelli, after Miss Lavelle, obviously. It was thought that the creature could possibly be related to extinct plecoderm fish like Pterichthys. Yet, to this day, despite having an official sounding scientific name, the Moha-Moha has not actually been scientifically identified. If you've been counting, you know we are at 6 continents, so we have 1 left. After a very chilly swim to the last continent, Antarctica, we find no reptiles there, well, except penguins, and no ancient people who would have developed the folklore or mythology for that place. So the best thing I've got is King Ghidorah, the 3-headed titan which came from space and has spent most of its time here on Earth being frozen in Antarctica, thawed by eco-terrorists, and then defeated by Godzilla with the help of a giant moth. Is it weird that that isn't the strangest story on my list? There you go. That's 7 continents with 7 myths and folklore stories for you. Tell me, have you heard of any of these before? Well, okay, of course, except the last one, which was a huge blockbuster Hollywood movie. Which one is your favorite? And if there is any details or versions of the stories that I told you today that I missed, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear them all. A special thanks again to my patrons on Patreon for their continued support, and thanks to you all for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram. And until next time, remember to nurture all nature. Bye! I'm just saying, wouldn't the 4 tapirs falling out of the sky also distract him?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I don't believe about this. He is just smelling everything. He's like,
Okay. Moving on.
if you get bitten by this thing, seriously, go to the hospital.